everyone, this is Heidi and I have a project using the new Swatches stamp set from Cat Scrappiness. So I'm going to be starting off with a white 4 1/4 by 5.5 panel, and I'm using some of this Dritz brand uh, grid. It's like a vinyl grid mat, and it's actually used for quilting, but I'm using it over the top of my card panel so that I can line up the little square from the Swatches stamp set and place it where I want it to go on the card panel. And I'm going to be using a variety of inks from Lawn Fawn, and I have Pink Flamingo, Carrot, Butter, Celery Stick, Fish Tank, and Sugar Plum. I love the names of these stamps. These inks are so good with stamping on solid stamps. You get a really nice impression, really bold color, and they're actually, and they come in so many different colors. They're really nice for stamping. So I'm starting off just stamping the square from the Swatches stamp set, and I'm gonna ink it a couple of times just to make sure I get the solid impression, because it is a newer stamp. And I'll show you a little trick in a second with solid stamps. When I get them, if I remember, I usually try and run an eraser over the top of the solid stamp. This is a chalk eraser, but you could use a gum eraser, a white eraser, any type of eraser that's not going to leave a lot of shavings to it, and you just want to kind of brush it off afterwards. But it gives the solid stamp a little bit of a texture to kind of grip the ink even better. So next I'm going to move the square down a little bit. And when I first got this stamp set, I was just I wanted to, use it for swatching, but then I was also thinking I want to do something with squares. I've been really into using geometric patterns lately, and I just kind of started just arranging the squares and kind of seeing how what kind of pattern I could get. And so this sort of didn't have too much of rhyme or reason in the beginning. I did do a practice card, so I kind of got my pattern where I wanted it. But this is just, I just like the diagonal pattern of it, and I'm just kind of running the square. I'll be doing 4 down diagonally, and then I'm going to do a second line to the left of this one. And I'm going in rainbow order with all the different colored inks. And then I'm going to start in the back there and just kind of overlap again. And the vinyl sheet that I had over the panel in the beginning was, I had gotten that idea. I Googled it. I was trying to find something that I could use with this big stamp platform. I like to have like a grid on top that I can line my stamps up on and make sure I get them really straight. And somebody had suggested to get this Dritz brand vinyl sheets that are for quilting. And so I picked them up, and I really like them. And you can cut them down. They wipe clean, and you can kind of size them the way you want them. So and there you go. So that panel is all set. So next I'm going to add my die cut sentiment, and this is from the new word die from Cat Scrappiness, and it's called Hello Crafty Friend. And before I adhere it to the panel, I'm just going to go over it with some clear sparkle pen from Spectrum Noir. It's just kind of a, I wouldn't say silvery, but it's just kind of a clear, it's hard to see in the picture here, but it's just a very clear, no color shimmer. And I just added it over the top of all the die cuts. And next I'm going to put some pattern paper on the front of my note card. And again, this is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 note card that I just created from some white cardstock. And this is some plaid paper from Lawn Fawn, from their Perfectly Plaid paper pack. This is a well-used paper pack. I really like the diagonal pattern. I like how it paired with the straight lines of the square. They have the patterns in the pad are diagonal, and they also have straight ones too, straight pattern. but I like the diagonal with this. And I'm just trimming off some of the edges of the card panel so that the plaid paper can stick out of the sides. So I think that's good. I like the way that looks. And then next I'm going to add my sentiment. Now these are a little more delicate than most word dies. I wanted to raise them up a little bit, so I'm using these tiny foam squares from scrapbook adhesives, and I'm just trimming them down really, really thin. And I'm only using just a couple of squares on each word. I'm just going to kind of try to find the thickest part of the word, of the letters, and I'm just putting the little thin strips of the foam tape on the back of the word. You could try foam, like fun foam, but I don't know if it would cut out as smoothly, so I think this works a lot better. And it sticks really well, and it holds up well. You just don't want to, shake the card around too much, or put things on top of it. But I think it turned out really well with a little bit of foam tape on there. And now I am adding the little dot to the eye. I used a little bit of my Zig two-way glue pen, and then I just kind of moved the dot into position. And now I'm ready to finish the card. So I added foam tape to the panel, and I'm just placing it on the top of the pattern paper there. And then for one more detail, I'm adding some crushed grape Nouveau drops. And I like to squeeze them out onto a piece of paper first, just to make sure there are no air bubbles. And then I am just placing them all around my card. And these are my new favorite. This is my new favorite embellishment to use. I love enamel dots, but this is the same thing, except you make them yourself, and I just think they turn out great every time, and they're my favorite thing to use. So that card is finished, and I made a couple other examples. I just used some different pattern paper from the pack in the back of this one, and then this is a more masculine one that I used some of the blues from Lawn Fawn, and I'll have those listed up on my blog as well. And I used liquid mercury Nouveau drops, and it just looked so good. And the sentiment is from Kat's previous release, Everyday Brush Strokes. So those are all my cards, and like I said, I'll have all my products linked over on my blog. And I thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day.